All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the Started by the NFL show. Wherever or however are listening, we're so grateful to have you with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle, and we have got some interesting storylines we're going to be covering today outside of the NFL, guys. And one of those lions, pun intended, is the matchup between the Detroit Lions and the LA Rams. Is Detroit the best team in the NFC? This is something we discussed in our preview show last week, so we're going to circle back to that discussion again. We're also going to be discussing whether Justin Fields should remain the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh based off his performance the other day against the Atlanta Falcons. So we're going to be covering all of that and then some, guys. But before we get started, be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you guys stay up to date on all of our latest content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/sorrytobotheryoushow/tip. And if you'd like to gain exclusive content from the Sorry to Bother You show, you can do so by following us on Patreon. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar and typing in Sorry to Bother You show. That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. None of this is possible without you guys as fans, so we're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you guys continue to show us day in and day out. So that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it. Like I said, are the Lions the best team in the NFC? The Lions on Sunday defeated the Rams by a score of 26-20 in overtime. Jared Goff went 18 for 28, 217 yards, 1 touchdown and an interception. Montgomery had 17 carries, 91 yards and a touchdown. James Williams had 5 receptions, 121 yards and 1 touchdown. The biggest takeaway from this game is not that Detroit is the best team in the NFC, though I do believe after watching his performance that they are, but the Rams are much better than I expected. Matt Stafford is still playing at a very efficient level at this stage in his career. He went 34-49, 317 yards, 1 touchdown. Kyren Williams had 18 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 14 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. The biggest cause for concern with the Rams, I would say, is their lack of a running game, and you can see so. Like I said, through the stats that I just mentioned, Matt Stafford threw the ball 49 times. I don't know how often you're going to win games if you're LA with Matthew Stafford throwing the ball that many times, and because teams in Detroit at least knew the other night that the Rams weren't able to get into a rhythm in the ground game, that they just threw in extra DBs on the field. They had a nickel, they had extra safety, and to try and take away the passing game and to provide balance to the offensive side of the ball. The Rams are going to have to find a way to get the ground game going, and that offensive line in LA is built for pass protection, so it's already difficult for them to run the ball, and that's something that the Rams are gonna have to address moving forward, over the course of the season. But if you're Detroit, Detroit does have one of the better interior presences on the defense side of the ball in the NFL, and their secondary is proficient as well, led by Terrion Arnold and Deion Branch, and Detroit looks like a complete team. Though it's early, they look like a complete team. I'm extremely impressed with what Detroit was able to do the other night, and offensively they have a very balanced rhythm to their offense. And people were asking, okay, is Detroit better than San Francisco? I believe that this victory for Detroit against the Rams means more than San Francisco's victory against the Jets, because the Jets aren't as, based on the performance I saw yesterday, are not as good as I expected them to be going into the season with the return of Aaron Rodgers and obviously the stout defense that they have, led by Sauce Gardner. The Jets' offensive capabilities have been grossly overestimated in my eyes, and in my opinion as well, if I'm being frank. So I'm unsure about how good the Jets are going to be. But what I can say is the Rams are going to be a good team. The Rams are going to be a good team this year in the NFC. And by knowing that, based on what Detroit was able to do against the Rams the other night, shows me that it shows me that that's a much more impressive victory for Detroit against the Rams than the 49ers against the Jets. And my co-host Dre, I know he's gonna have something to say about his 49ers victory against the Jets, and we're gonna discuss all that on the live show. But is Detroit the best team in the NFC as of right now? Yes, I would say they are. I would say that they are. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Are the Lions the best team in the NFC based on what you've seen so far? And if they're not the best team in the NFC, then who? Is it the 49ers? Is it the Eagles? The Cowboys, who are coming off an impressive victory against Cleveland? And if you're Cleveland, what are you going to do about Deshaun Watson? I mean, how ironic is it that Deshaun Watson might not even be a starter in the next 2 or 3 weeks, while Baker Mayfield is reclaiming his status and giving validation for him being a number 1 overall pick. I mean, the irony is not lost on Cleveland. So, is it Dallas or is it Green Bay with a healthy Jordan Love? If Detroit isn't the best team in the NFC, then who is? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it, guys. But in our next segment, we are going to be discussing whether Pittsburgh should make a change at the quarterback position. Be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. Alright, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we were discussing whether the Lions are the best team in the NFC based on their performance against the Rams on Sunday Night Football. And in this segment, guys, we are going to be discussing whether Pittsburgh should be making a change at the quarterback position based off their performance on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. So, we're going to go ahead and get right into it, guys. As you guys know, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Atlanta Falcons squared off on Sunday, and the Steelers defeated Atlanta in Atlanta by a score of 18-10. Justin Fields went 17-23 for 156 yards. Kirk Cousins went 16-26. 155 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Najee Harris had 20 carries for 70 yards. Bijan Robinson had 18 carries for 68 yards. George Pickens had 6 receptions for 85 yards. And Ray McLeod had 4 receptions for 52 yards. So the question we are asking ourselves is, should the Steelers keep Justin Fields in at QB1 at the starting quarterback position. People are going to look at the score, and people are going to look at the fact that the Steelers won this game, and they're going to say to themselves, oh, well, Pittsburgh was successful. They won on the road against Atlanta, pretty good Atlanta team, allegedly. So, yeah, Justin Fields then turned the ball over. Why not keep him at starting quarterback position? But you have to look into you have to look deeper into the stat line, and also you have to look at the film. Being quite frank, both teams looked below average on the offensive side of the ball. Granted, I will say that both teams defensively between Atlanta and Pittsburgh looked phenomenal on the defensive end, specifically TJ Watt and Pittsburgh in that defensive line. Wow, were they able to generate pressure on Atlanta and Kirk Cousins? I mean, I forget how many times they sacked Kirk Cousins, but I believe it's at least 4 times. If I'm wrong with that, one of you guys can correct me. But just because you win does not mean that it was particularly a good game. Like I said, Justin Fields had 157 yards in 17 of 23 passing. Watching the game, you can tell there's still some things that Justin Fields needs to work on in terms of his pocket presence and moving up in the pocket and extending plays, not just with his legs, but with his ability to throw the ball within the seams accurately, right? We know he's a great thrower of the deep ball, but can he throw the ball accurately on the intermediate routes, through the numbers, inside the numbers? That remains to be seen. And because there was a slight inability to be efficient in the passing, it hindered the running attack for Pittsburgh. As we saw, Najee Harris only had 70 yards on 20 carries. And if Najee Harris in the ground game can get going, it obviously opens up the passing game. There's a balance to it, like we talked about. And there were a couple missed throws by Justin Fields over the course of the game that could have completely swayed the game in Pittsburgh way much earlier in the game. And this was a very poor performance from Atlanta on the offensive side of the ball. And Atlanta might start having some questions as well in regards to whether they should keep Kirk Cousins in as the starting quarterback. And there are questions whether Kirk Cousins is still hurt, or is he still obviously still recovering in some way from his Achilles injury. But Atlanta stated that the issues that were had during the game were not because of injury on Kirk Cousins. It was just bad reads. So now you start questioning, well, how short is the leash for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta after he just got paid? When do you start thinking about putting Michael Penix in the game? And we have to understand that Atlanta had a poor performance offensively. And if you're Pittsburgh, do you leave Justin Fields in that quarterback as a starting quarterback? You don't. You make the change. You go back to Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback, and you allow that offense to develop. You allow that offense to be balanced. And more importantly, you allow Justin Fields to continue to develop on the sideline. Something that I talk about ad nauseum on this show, and something that I'm a proponent of, as you guys know, is allowing quarterbacks to develop, especially young quarterbacks, especially first-round picks. Allowing these guys to develop for 2 or 3 years so that when they get into the game, they can be successful. And, some people might not agree with that, but it is what it is. You have to allow these guys to develop as opposed to throwing them into the wolves and letting them fail, for lack of better words. Very few quarterbacks can come in right away and be successful. And the ones that do come in right away and be successful, how many of those guys are consistent with that success as opposed to just being 1-hit or 2-hit wonders? Very different. Very, very, very stark difference between being a 1-hit wonder and having prolonged success in the NFL at the quarterback position. So if you're Pittsburgh, you commit to the plan, what you plan on doing going into the season, and that was starting Russell Wilson and allowing Justin Fields to develop. I believe you stick to that plan because there's a reason you made that plan. There's a reason why you chose Russell Wilson over Justin Fields in training camp. You saw something over the course of every day, over the course of training camp, that told you that Justin Fields was not ready yet, and we're going to go with Russell Wilson. So I believe you commit to that plan, despite what happened in week 1. If anything, week 1 should show you that Justin Fields still isn't ready. So you do go back to Russell Wilson when healthy. I'm not sure what Russell Wilson's status is going into week 2, but if he's ready, then you go back to Russell Wilson. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, though. Should the Steelers stick with Justin Fields as starting quarterback, despite the health of Russell Wilson? Or should they go back to Russell Wilson if he's healthy? Leave your thoughts in the comment section and in the chat room, guys. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. But with that being said, guys, that's it for our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful show. If you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all related content that we post daily. None of this is possible without you guys, the fans. So we're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you guys show us day in and day out. And it's a pleasure to have this platform and talk about football with you guys. Especially being a professional basketball player. I had to learn a lot about football due to obviously being a reporter and being an analyst. You have to learn and be able to talk about multiple sports, but being able to talk about football and learn about football with you guys it's a pleasure and honor. But we'll be back again, guys, tomorrow with a college football show, and on Thursday with another NFL show. Until then, guys, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and peace.